Good evening, everyone. My name is Georgette Villa, and today I'm sharing my reaction to Laura Bohannan's article, Shakespeare in the Bushes. This video will summarize the article, explore how the worldview shapes interpretation, examine ethocentrism, connect to culture norms, and share one of my experiences with cultural misunderstandings. In Shakespeare in the Bushes, anthropologist Laura Bohannan travels to West Africa to study the Tiv people. She brings a copy of Hamlet because she thinks its themes apply to all cultures. The Tiv elders reinterpret every aspect of the story according to their own culture beliefs. When she tries to tell it to them, they interpret Hamlet's father's ghost as an omen rather than a supernatural entity. Based on the Tiv customs, they also reinterpret marriage, retribution, and morality. By the end, Bohannan understands that culture worldviews filter even stories she believes to be universally understood. The article illustrates how meaning is determined by one's worldview. Depending on the culture viewpoint, the same event, such as the appearance of a ghost, can be interpreted quite differently. Bohannan anticipates that the Tiv would interpret Hamlet in light of her Western perspective, but the story was altered by their own culture beliefs. This demonstrates how people reinterpret information based on their values, customs, and presumptions about how the world functions rather than just receiving it. Bohannan's presumption that Shakespeare meanings are universal and ought to be understood consistently everywhere is an obvious instance of ethocentrism. Her conviction that there is only one correct way to interpret Hamlet is indicative of a Western academic perspective. She doesn't understand that her interpretation is culturally specific and not universal until she talks to the Tiv elders. The Tiv elders' response casts doubt on the notion that any culture values are normal or the default. Bohannan discovers that moral judgments, spiritual beliefs, and marriage customs vary greatly. In one culture, something that happened obvious might be interpreted entirely different in another. The article advises against assuming that our culture's way of thinking is the only or optimal approach. In my culture, at a young age, women are ready to be wed. And that's something that through many years, and my family's culture, they're Middle Eastern, they believe that when a young woman is still in their 12 years of age, they're actually getting ready to be presented as a wife, is a significant norm to them. This seems appropriate and naturally to me, but depending on their perspective, someone from a different culture might find it strange, superfluous, or even disrespectful. The article demonstrates how, when viewed through a different cultural lens, even familiar behaviors can appear strange. Cultural humility, which entails remaining inquisitive, asking questions, and refraining from assuming or interpretations are the only ones, is a best practice for cross-cultural communication. Bohannan discovers this is the article when the Tiv use their culture context to interpret Hamlet. She might have communicated more successfully and grasped their point of view farther if she had entered the conversation anticipating different interpretations. My Christians believe about what occurs after death are one personal experience that relates to this tale. According to Christian doctrine, a person's spirit does not remain after death or come back to communicate with the living. In Hebrews 9:27, for instance, states, "And it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment." Therefore, it may be at odds with my worldview when I come across culture, customs, or beliefs about ancestor spirits speaking to the living. I understand spiritual issues through my faith in the Bible, just as the Tiv interpret Hamlet's ghost in accordance with their beliefs. I once had a disagreement with someone who thought signs were a way of their ancestors communicating with them. I didn't want to offend them, but the idea of spirits returning is not supported by my Christian worldview. This distinction, similar to the one between the Tiv and the Bohannan, demonstrates to me how profoundly worldview aspects how the same events is interpreted. The most important thing I learned from this article is that everything is influenced by one's worldview, including morality, stories, and spiritual beliefs that we take for granted. Humility, curiosity, and an awareness that people's cultures, backgrounds influence how they perceive the world are all necessary for intercultural communication. Shakespeare's In the Bush serves as a reminder that meaning is not exclusive to anyone's culture. Thank you.